Hello makers! Well, I made some Halloween cards with the new Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous 2023 stamp release using the Note Quotes CMS 463 stamp set. And I have to admit, I saw the two circles and then I saw the Boo to You and Trick or Treat, and I said, I have to make a Halloween card with eyeballs. And so I did do that. I'll talk a little bit more about some other things that I used to make this card out of this stamp set and a couple of stencils. But I also felt like, you have to have plaid for Halloween as well. So I tried to make a plaid with the circles and also with the squares down here. So let's get started and talk about how I made these cards and how you can make some if you would like to as well. For this card, I'm going to be using the Note Quotes CMS 463 stamp set from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. And I love that this set has sentiments that you can use all year long, from just a hello and a little note, thank you notes, Valentine's Day, even a little bit of, wishes for having a good day, to Easter, even 4th of July, Halloween, and Christmas. So this really can be used all year round. I'm going to pair it with the new Everyday Art Elements Stencils. And if you look at the things that are in this stencil set, you can really see that these can also be used all year long. So you have flowers, you have hearts, you have some circles that could be used for anything, but if you stack them like this, what a cute little snowman that would make. And you also have some rectangles that you could stack and make into a stack of presents for a birthday or for Christmas or something like that. You've got everything from rainbows to stars, little things that could be used as Christmas trees, or even, I think this is cute as like a moose antlers. So lots of different things that you could use for every day as well. And so I think that they pair well together. For me today, I'm going to be making a Halloween card because I was looking at these shapes and I thought they would make a fun Halloween card with the Boo to You or Trick or Treat. I'm going to use an old technique that I learned from Tim a long time ago from one of his demonstrations, using alcohol ink, cardstock, and Archival ink as a resist to regular distress ink. I haven't picked any colors yet, so I don't have any of my distress inks out, but I will be using them. And my cat Leota says hello, and not to forget that she's always here joining in. And the stencils that I'm going to use today from the Everyday Art Elements Stencils, this one and this one, because I need some smaller circles than the one with the 3. These were a little bit too big for what I want to do today with this stamp set. So these two stencils, the Note Quotes stamp set, alcohol ink cardstock, Archival ink, and then have your distress inks at the ready. And let's get making. You can see that I have the alcohol ink cardstock inked up. I made a couple of little errors, so I may make another one probably. In fact, I know I will because I won't be able to take it. But anyway, there are a couple of little errors that I made with the black soot and also with the Mermaid Lagoon. So the green is the peeled paint Archival ink. The Dusty Concord kind of turned a brownish. And then the Mermaid Lagoon is kind of a bluish green. For the pupils, I used the smaller circle and stenciled on pupils in black soot. And then the eyeballs are fossilized amber. The outside of the eyeballs is hickory smoke. And then you can see there are little, because on the stamps, there are little dots along the outside. So I do have little dots along the outside. So maybe this won't make much of a difference. Who knows? I am considering, even though the Archival is a resist in and of itself, I'm considering keeping this part white around the edges here. I think I really like that. So I'm considering using a little bit of Distress Glaze right now. I'm thinking I might want to do that. So since this is you know what? Let's just do that and see what we think. I'm going to go ahead and add Distress ink on each of the eyeballs and try not to go outside of the hickory smoke, just to try and keep that white part white in the eyeballs. And then the rest of it will soak in the Distress ink color. So let's go ahead and do that since this is kind of a practice one. Eyeballs sealed. I tried to keep it off of all of the areas around the eyeballs, so we'll see how well I did when I add the Distress ink right now. So let's just go ahead and go really bold, and since this is going to be a Halloween card, I'm going to go with the hickory smoke, and the black soot. So let's just see what it looks like when I add black soot pad to paper. All right, my friends, well, you can see how that turned out. I didn't do a great job on getting it on the eyeballs and keeping it only inside. You can see where I got outside in some spots. Looks a little distressed, a little Halloweenish, not perfect. I don't hate it. It's not my favorite look right now. I think I could have done a better job. But you can also see where I didn't get it on the inside of the eyeball, and so the black went where the white would have been because there was nothing on the white to resist naturally, but the Archival would have resisted. So I'm trying to decide what I think about that look. I may go ahead with it and just not have some white around it and see. Let's go ahead and try one of those. Let's just stamp it in Archival and not do anything with the white and see what we think. See, everything's nice and dry. And the reason I know that is because when it was wet, it was really shiny and it's kind of dull now. The paper's still fairly shiny, and some of the Archival ink is a little bit shiny, but like you can see, the black soot is fairly dull, and so I know that it is dry now. So I'm gonna go and add my Distress ink. As you can see, I had to go over it many, many times to get the background dark enough. And now I'm going to take a cloth and buff away. All right, so you can see that it resisted, but because I don't have that the white parts where it, you know, didn't soak in completely, where the yellow didn't soak in, it's kind of dark, like we had on here where I didn't get, you know, anything covered. And so this is kind of a little maybe spookier looking, but I like the brightness of this. So I'm wondering if there's a way that I can do it a little bit neater than I did the last time. This is fun, but I think I want to try and perfect this. So I'll be using the same technique that I used on this one. I'm just going to work on it a couple more times. You know, practice makes perfect. So I'm going to try it again a few more times. All right, I did another version of this, and I was able to keep the micro glaze inside of the outside circles a little bit better so that the eyeballs really stand out with this technique. I like this darker distressed archival resist for some colors and some patterns much better, but for the eyeballs, I really wanted them to be bright and stand out, and so I think the microglaze was a good decision for this. And even though this one's messy, I'll probably use it for another card just because it's kind of fun and silly and still Halloween-y. You know, Halloween cards don't have to be perfect, but for this card, I did want them to stay in the lines a little bit better. To finish it off, I trimmed it down 1/8 of an inch on each side so that when I put it on my card base, I will have a reveal, and I'm going to use a black card base. Then I took the, I took the masking tape off where I had it just around 1, and I put it so that I had a whole line. And then I just went across a piece of the cardstock all the way across. And this one I did with Archival ink in peeled paint, and then went over it with crushed olive, distress paint, or distress ink. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put it across here as a little bit of detail. And you know, I always sew, so I will be sewing around this in black thread. And then I made several sentiments, and I actually wasn't really sure if I was going to do orange or if I was going to do green, and I ended up liking the green better on this, just kind of staying with a similar color tone. But this was Crackling Campfire Archival, and then Spice Marmalade, Distress ink, and then these I stamped with Crackling Campfire and Spice Marmalade. Then I stamp, and these are peeled paint and crushed olive archival. Then I stamped the outside of the square in black archival, and I picked the sentiments and I stamped them in black archival. Then once that was done, so that it would kind of go ahead and go with these, I wanted to keep some of the white inside the square. So I went over it with microglaze as well, and then went around the outside with the black distress paint so that it would coordinate and still have just a little bit of, you know, the white showing through. So like I said, I ended up trying several of them, and I didn't really like the orange on this, so I'm saving those for another technique. And then I could put either one of these on it, and I decided to go with the Trick or Treat for this one. And so that's basically what it will look like. I'm going to sew on it. Like I said, I will probably sew across here with zigzag, and then I'll go around the outside with some messy stitching, put it on a black card base, and we'll probably pop this up just slightly with either chipboard or some foam dots, and then my card will be finished. So that's how I put this one together. So when I'm completely done, I'll go ahead and come back, show it to you. And I also might have something that I do off camera so that I can use these as well. So when we come back, I'll show you the finished product. Here's the orange background that I'm working on. And so I stamped in Spice Marmalade Archival with the square, And so I kind of stamped a pattern, like a diamond pattern, and then went over it with the outline in Crackling Campfire Archival ink. And now I'm going to go over it with the black soot, pad to paper, and cover the whole thing. And so it will be a little darker, like this one. And then I'm going to use these on it, and I'll have another little card. So let's get started with that. Here is how the background turned out with Spice Marmalade Archival, Crackling Campfire Archival, and then the black soot distress ink. And I really love it. I love all those little dots that are around these and how they add just really interest all the way through. So it's not perfect. It just is, you know, but it still has a pattern. I love it. And so now I will do one of these. I think this one. This one can go across here. We can put this on here somewhere. And we're good. I'll sew around it. And yeah, I think that looks great. That's a lot of fun. The white is a little bit, it stands out a little bit because I didn't do anything to keep white on this. So I think in order to tie this in with the white, I may do white border on this, and I may make the card base white. So we'll see, but I think I'm going to sew around it still in black to pull the black in from this. But to go ahead and coordinate with the white, I think I'll add just a little white here and there to make that stand out. But I just think that's super fun, really fast, really cute. Had a lot of fun making that. Well, that's all there is to it, my friends. So if you have any questions that I didn't cover in this tutorial, you know I am always glad to help answer anything that I didn't make clear in the first round. And so just either comment here in the comments section below or comment on my blog at playswellwithpaper.blogspot.com. I'll be glad to try and get back to you and clear up any misunderstandings or anything that you need clarified. Thank you so much. I always appreciate the time that you take to come and watch the tutorials. I hope that they're helpful, and I hope that you have a very creative day.